Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home. Hello and welcome. So glad that you've joined me here today. I'm really excited about my guest, and I know you will be as well. You know, it's really important that we approach healing from emotional eating from all aspects. And even though I'm more on the emotional, spiritual side of things, as you already know, I am bringing in top-notch guests who are really here to talk more about the science and the physiology of, food and mood and balance, and it's just so important to get all the information we can about this. And I love learning about this. I can never learn enough. And I've just got a great guest here today, and she has a great name, especially. Her name is Trish Ward, and she's the Soulful Nutritionist. Trish helps committed individuals discover the food and lifestyle habits that work specifically for their unique biochemistry and soul journey, so they can live symptom-free with abundant energy, stamina, and joy. She calls herself the Soulful Nutritionist because she firmly believes that merging soul and science, I love that, is where the magic of life is. In her years of practice, she has seen time and time again that both one's physiology and psychology needs to be in alignment to find true health. Ain't that the truth? Yes. Trish offers committed individuals an opportunity to reclaim their physical health and embrace their deep connection to self-spirit. And, it's just so true that this is an emotional, spiritual, physical, mental condition, yes. Right? So welcome, Trish. I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, thank you, Tricia, for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
That's great. Yeah, thank you. Gosh, so many things to ask you, but tell me about your journey and how this came to be your life's work.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for asking. Well, I like to always start with I kind of ran into it, literally. I am the mother of 3 children, and my second child was born with special needs. And the way that I started to cope was that I started to run. And when you do something for a long time and often, you kind of get good at it. So I would run and run and run to kind of deal with emotion and grief.
Run meaning busy?
No, like physically run.
Physically run.
Became a runner.
Okay.
Yeah.
You became a runner. Okay, gotcha.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm more used to the other kind of running.
Right?
Yeah, it should have been the jogging kind, but it never was.
I love it. So I would run, and I decided that I would become competitive. So I hired coaches, and I was doing triples in a day and whatnot. And all of a sudden my times just started tanking. It was just horrible. And I would go to them and I'd be like, God, what are we going to do? And they said, oh, just keep eating. Just eat more. Well, I was already eating, just a ton of food, and it wasn't working. So I realized I'm like, there's got to be an easier way. I can't be killing myself all the time. So I hired another coach who was a female. She was an Olympic trials marathoner, just an awesome woman. And our first meeting, she said, hey, Trish, do you take your panels? I was like, panels? What are you talking about? And she goes, yeah, you need to check out your micronutrients. I do it every 6 months. You're out there, running 20 miles, you're sweating up a storm. So I did it. And lo and behold, I had no vitamin B or ferritin or vitamin D in my system. So no wonder it felt like I was dragging elephants kind of through the sand. So I literally ran into it. I became then utterly fascinated with how nutrition helps us with our performance. And what I realized was that it wasn't just athletic performance. I mean, that's what I was going for in the beginning. But then I thought, okay, the more I read, this is going to help my son. So if I can kind of curtail what I'm eating at the time I was nursing, and then change how he's eating, maybe this will help. And it did. And it totally did. So I just fell in love with nutrition and have now just built this practice where it's about nutrition, but it's also really about the soul journey in nutrition. Why do we choose the things we choose? Why do we have the habits that we do? How do we kind of avoid or numb out? And what are we doing that? How are we doing that with food?
Beautiful. Beautiful. So that's amazing. So what are some of the things that you find in a lot of your clients that are lacking, like nutrition-wise?
Magnesium, for sure.
Oh, okay.
In women, I think all of us, especially if we birth people, and even if we haven't, we live in a country that's amazing, but the air we breathe, the water we drink, and our food, even if we eat really healthy, just has holes in it. And unfortunately, it robs us of nutrients that we do need. So I would say magnesium for sure, and then B vitamins. A lot of things need to bind together in order for them to have metabolic pathways work. And I see a lot of people that come with mood issues initially or anxiety. They're just robbed of any of their good B vitamins. So sometimes we need to supplement with that, and then we play with food. And the unique thing about us is that what would work for you wouldn't necessarily work for me, and it could be good food. And so, for example, I went through this whole summer of removing a bunch of oxalates out of my food, and kale's one of them. I eat a lot of kale, but it's a high oxalate food, oxalic acid, and it was
okay, let's stop there right there. What is oxalic acid?
So it's produced by food. It's a compound produced by food, and it can cause, for me, inflammation. So I was waking up and I felt, first of all, I am aging, so I'm not going to deny that. So I'd wake up and be like, oh, these ankles are a little cranky. That's weird. But it kind of got compounded where I was like, this is bizarre. Do I have early arthritis? What's going on? And we have autoimmune on my dad's side. So, but it wasn't that. I removed nuts, kale, spinach, and truly removed it for like 3 months. And I feel great. At the point, I couldn't open a pickle jar. I mean, it was like my hands. It was crazy. I mean, it was really weird, and it freaked me out.
Arthritis. I mean, that's crazy. So,
totally. And pain.
How did you know that's what it was? Was that through blood testing?
So you can do testing, and that's like the surefire, like, let's put our science in front of our faces and see what's going on. I like to do that. What I did do though was like, okay, I removed nightshades, thinking it was nightshades. Then I thought, okay, it's gonna be oxalates, because what ended up happening, I started waking up with this feeling of like being swollen and in pain, and then I ended up having a kidney stone.
Wow.
So yeah, that was a big wake up call for me to be like, okay, something's off here.
Right.
And, every good coach needs a coach. Mm-hmm. So I called one of my doctor friends. I'm like, hey, dude, this is not going so well here. I'm like, and kidney stones are not too pretty. So she's like, Trish, have you taken oxalates out of your food? And I'm like, no. She's like, yeah, let's try that.
Really? So this is a really common thing.
Oh, it is. Like, people that come with like a ton of pain, often they're like, I'm in so much pain and whatever. It's playing biochemically with what's really the prescription for them. I think what happens in our society is we think like, oh, I got this great diet. I'm trying this. I don't know, there's a zillion out there. Paleo, whatever the new thing is. And I'm not saying it's bad, because I think certain ones are really great. But what works for you might not work for your partner, might not work for your best friend. So really, really dialing into listening to your body. I mean, that's where the magic is. It's like,
absolutely,
wow, this doesn't work for me, and allowing that to be okay.
I hope, yeah. I mean, this is kind of a skewed message, because it's like most people are, especially I think people listening, including myself, are like, gee, if I'm eating kale and spinach, and some nuts here and there, I'm doing good, but all of a sudden It's like, no, that's making me sick. That's a terrible thing.
Right. And it's not like we jump right to that by any means. That is through a process. And that was me just kind of really digging through and trying to be a health detective and say like, well, that's strange, because I really do feel confident in the way that I'm eating. I do feel confident that I'm putting time and effort into my choices, but I'm still not feeling really right. So that's where usually people enter into my practice, and it's kind of like,
so you're
what's
really
going on here?
You're really a detective for various health issues.
Absolutely. In functional diagnostic nutrition, we consider ourselves health detectives. I'm root cause. I'm usually the person people have tried to go to maybe 7 other practitioners and they still can't figure it out. Mm-hmm. We'll figure it out. But it is a process. And so patience is a big part of it.
Absolutely. Wow. And so, what are some of the common ailments that people come to you with?
Yeah, adrenal fatigue is number one, usually.
Okay, let's talk about that because that hit me hard about um, I'd say 14, 13 years ago, maybe 13 years ago, it hit my husband hard. And he, his whole endocrine system got whacked after getting the flu. And he had no idea what was wrong with him. It was really scary for both of us because it really, overnight, he just, everything kind of went to hell in the handbasket. So we were running all around looking for, health practitioners who could help him instead of try to give him medication,
Yes.
And it took a while, and now it wouldn't have taken so long now because there's so much more information and so many more informed, doctors. But at the time, it took a lot of digging to get to someone who really understood adrenal fatigues. And turns out, he had it, and we were on the East Coast at the time. We were driving all over the Northeast looking for, credible holistic doctors. And and the process of him really kind of coming undone, and he was my rock always, and all of a sudden I was his rock because I was, I'm the one driving him everywhere and, trying to get, we put everything on hold. He wasn't working with clients. It was just like, let's get this guy, let's get to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
But in that process, I became adrenally
Absolutely.
shot, right?
Yes.
So the whole thing was really a bit of a shit show, I'd say. Yeah. So anyway, let's talk about that and what that means, because I know so many people, and especially emotional eaters, are suffering from that, and they have no idea. Like they're treating, this. I was. Loud noises were hard for me. Stress, I could handle so little, and I just was on pins and needles all the time, and I just was, it was so hard and disorienting, to have your body react that way. And I really think a lot of people are treating that condition. They're exhausted. Working, overdoing, people pleasing. All those things can cause this. So let's talk about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree with you. I'm so sorry you guys had to go through that. I'm glad to hear that he's okay now too.
He recovered, and everything's always in divine order, right? Because we now know so much more about this, and we're so, it just put us on a whole new level in terms of our own health and our being able to administer to clients. It really, it just really filled out the picture so much better for us. So we're, in the end, it really did work out for the best, and we're able to be so much more helpful to people having gone through it ourselves.
100%. Isn't that the truth? I agree. Couple of things about when people come in with adrenal fatigue. First of all, they don't really know they're in it. It's just, again, one of those things where it's just like, man, I'm done. It usually comes in with moodiness or maybe skin irritation. It comes in and it presents in a different way with everybody.
Yeah.
But again, that's why I'm kind of really into putting someone's science in front of them, because it's like, hey, man, no wonder you feel this way. Like you are in complete exhaustion. Your poor adrenals can't even pump out anything anymore.
Right.
And what happens is, someone comes in and I need to paint the picture and let them know that this is where we are, and we're going to crawl out of this hole because I know you don't feel well. But please remember that it took decades to get here. Decades, right? Pushing ourselves physically and mentally and emotionally. And it all goes together. When I deal with women that come in with this, it's kind of like, okay, what do I do? My kids need me, and I work, and I do all these things. And it's really about silencing the inner chatter of doing and switching and reframing it to being.
Yeah.
And saying no. It's okay to say no. You have to. Unfortunately, you guys hit the point where you had to.
Right.
But one of the biggest things that I tell a lot of my clients when they come in, and they're by the book, right? I'm doing it right. I'm going in, I exercise 5 times a day, 6 times a week. Not 5 times a day, 5 times a week. Sometimes 6, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing cardio, and I'm thinking, I come from the school where more is not more. Actually, more in this situation is actually incredibly damaging. So when I tell people, okay, your homework is to not do anything, slow down, you may walk. They're like, what? I can't
That's why I thought when you said you were running, I'm like, I mean, running, all the people I know are running like from themselves and their emotions, like in busy work. So of course, that's what I thought you meant.
Which would make sense. But yes, just slowing that spinner down. I mean, it has to slow down because your body will take you down, unfortunately, as you guys kind of realize. Your body will take you down, and we have to rebuild a preferred pathway so your sex hormone can work again and so you can feel better. But what ends up happening is your hormones get shunted for cortisol, and your body literally thinks it's being chased by a lion. Yes. And while we've evolved a lot, we haven't evolved that much. Like, we still do think it's either you're on and you're in flight or flight, or you're not. And we live in this state of on, even though it's like, hey, I look cool, I'm good. That chatter, that maybe discord really truly going on with a gut issue, we're in a state of go and distress.
High drive.
And so again, we revisit the buckets of diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, and supplementation. And we have to address all of them. And so we slowly peel back the onion and get to like, how can we really rebuild this? Because your adrenals really need to be rebuilt. And usually what happens is we really need to love on your liver, because your liver has a really big job, and it's sloughing off a lot of the excess toxins and hormones. And if that gets backed up, it kind of just causes a lot of metabolic chaos.
Okay, so the liver's very tied in with all that.
Yeah, definitely. And what happens to us females, when it happens to men too, is our estrogens and everything are processed in our liver. And so if we're in the middle of perimenopause, we now are dealing with, the toxins from the air we're breathing and the water we're drinking. And, oh, look, what do I do with all this estrogen? So I kind of call it the finger in the dam. It's like there just gets a backup in the liver. And so where does all that stuff go? Well, it kind of filters back into the bloodstream, and it causes receptor sites, it gloms on, and it causes other issues. So we have to just filter through, keep the bile going, and keep it kind of clean. And you also have to do the same thing with your thoughts, right? Because we can get really stuck with, I don't have time. I don't have time for this. Like, well, let's figure out how we can make time. Because if you have 10 minutes a day, you do have time.
Right.
I mean, Tony Robbins says that, right? He said, if you don't have 10 minutes in a day, you don't have a life. And I was like, yes, I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
So it's then creating habits.
Just to interrupt you, I read Emmett Fox every day, spiritual teacher, and he says, if you don't have time to be well, you'll be forced to find time to be sick.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful.
Isn't it? It's so true.
No, it really is true. And I really think there's a paradigm shift in the way people are starting to look at their health, which is exciting. But the model we come from is, you will be ill if you don't take care of it now and slow it down. And then I always ask, what's the rush? And I ask myself that too. I mean, I'm not standing on any soapbox by any means. Like I said, I have 3 kids, I run a business, I have a husband, and it's a daily thing for me. And it's,
sure.
It's a quest.
And how do you support the liver? Like, okay, liver's getting, way overloaded. What's the typical protocol for that?
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I do, I like to be holistic in my choices. So I like a castor oil pack, to be honest with you, because it slows you down.
What?
A castor oil pack.
A castor oil. I thought you said casserole. Of course, I'm thinking food. A castor oil pack. Okay, gotcha.
That's awesome. I love it. And I can actually send you a link to I have my clients watch this guy. It's like a 70s video, but he explains it so well. And you get a little piece of wool or like a flannel you don't mind cutting up, and you soak it in castor oil, and then you put it over your liver, and I wrap saran wrap, and you have to chill out. I put a heating pad on top, and for 45 minutes, you're just chilling.
Wow.
It's fun because it's homework, it's doable, and you got to slow down.
Wow, I love that. And how often do you do that?
I do it about 2 to 3 times a week.
Really? Mm-hmm. Until you feel like you've done it enough that your liver's healed, or you just constantly do it?
Oh, no, constantly do it.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd
love to put that video in our show notes, so please send that. That'd be cool.
It is hilarious, so it'll be good. Another choice that kind of forces people to slow down a bit is taking an Epsom salt bath. That's a great detoxifier. even if you can only hop in for 3 to 5 minutes, hop in.
Okay.
And the magnesium that's in there is you'll sleep well that night as well.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
These are little things. I have a tongue scraper, dry brushing to just stimulate the lymph because that's our sewage system. We want to kind of just get that stuff out. And
Great.
these are all things that take like 1 to 2 minutes in your daily routine. It's not like I'm
Right.
asking you to, halt and except for the castor oil pack, and completely give up half your day. It's
Yeah.
just little things that we do. Adding a green juice is good too because it eases up on the digestion. Your body doesn't have to work so hard. So if we can ease up on that, then the liver kind of gets a break. That's why we juice, right? It's
Now,
not.
now you had to stop eating kale and spinach. Could you still juice them and take the juice, or no?
So I would do cucumber. I would do
Okay.
cilantro. Cilantro is a
Okay.
good binder. It kind of grabs some of those toxins and that it doesn't leach so much. I would throw in a green apple, half of a green apple, and celery. Celery
Okay.
juice is great, and that's what I
Great.
would do then. And I always tell people like, hey, if you don't have a juicer, don't beat yourself up. It's totally okay. Go get a juice. Yes, there's more of a financial commitment there, but just you're looking for sugars. You don't want sugars in there.
Right.
So you're not going to get the green juice that, tastes so sweet and delicious and I can drink this all day long. I happen to love green juice, the one that I drink, and it's not sweet. But if you need to buy it, it's okay too.
Well, yeah, and it's a little bit of apple. I mean, that's really all it takes to just, kind of make it palatable.
Absolutely.
For
And
people. Yeah.
I agree. And including a ritual with it, I tend to get ritualistic with, gosh, that clicked on my, sorry about that. With the way that I do things with my clients, we wake up in the morning, we have warm lemon water. I really encourage them to write in their journal. That's a big piece of it. And then it's like, okay, great. How are we going to fit the green juice in the day? What kind of ritualistic thing can we do? Do you have 5 minutes in your day where you can sit down again and take a breather and
Yeah.
create that time? And so we kind of build around their schedule, but it's totally doable.
Totally. And there's not a lot of calories in that drink you're talking about. And I happen to be very fortunate, or my pocketbook doesn't necessarily feel this way, but I live right down the street from Whole Foods, so whole pig check, as they say. But
Totally.
but it's great because I mean, for $5 you can get that juice. I mean, it's $5 or $6. I mean, where I live is kind of crazy because I have juicing places like on every block, so it's super
Absolutely.
easy. But it's not that expensive, and I don't know that it's any more expensive than doing it myself, to be honest. And I don't have that kind of time, so
Right.
it's worth it to me to get freshly juiced, greens is amazing.
Absolutely. In fact, Costco has a green juice by Suja right now that I'm totally down with. I tell one of my clients texted me and said, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And I said, "Flip over the label." And I was like, "Looks great." And so there you go. I think she got it for, $8.89, and it'll last you at least a week.
And you feel like that doesn't, because it's not fresh and just squeezed or juiced, that's okay. That's still going to have a lot of nutrients.
It's better than not doing it.
Right. Okay.
I guess
You're
that's
so
what I
right.
want to say.
Yeah.
It's like it's just better than not doing
I
it.
can't
And
have that
again,
all or nothing thinking like, if it's not done right there on the spot, it's not worth anything.
right. And we're going for progress, not perfection.
Yeah,
It's always
absolutely.
progress, not perfection. And I tell my clients too, it's the 80-20 rule. I mean, 80% of the time you can be pretty dialed in. 20%, you're going to live your life.
Right.
You're just going to enjoy it. And
Yeah.
it's coming up with that mindset, because mindset is a big piece of it. I do have people that are just like, "Oh man, I totally blew it." And I'm like, "What'd you blow?" "Well, I went to this wedding." And I'm like, "Great. How was it?" It's being okay and giving ourselves this permission to be human beings.
Right.
That's a big piece of this, a really big piece of
Absolutely.
it.
That's beautiful. Talk to me about the lemon water in the morning, because I used to do that, and I've kind of forgotten about it. But talk to all of us about that.
Sure. Yeah. So when we go to bed at night and we have a wonderfully long, restful sleep, we're fasting, and our body is working hard to excrete some of the toxins that we've consumed during the day or breathed in or drank or whatnot. So when we wake up, we can be fairly acidic. And what we want to do is bring our pH levels to alkaline. That means like, the way I describe that is into balance. So warm lemon water, throw some ginger in there. You can add some cinnamon. Some people throw just a little bit of stevia if they want to sweeten it up. I throw some apple cider vinegar, like a tablespoon. Some that doesn't work for everybody. It can make some people feel nauseated. Then I say, okay, omit the vinegar, but go ahead and keep the lemon, unless you obviously have a citrus allergy. But believe it or not, citrus, when it hits the body, is an alkaline food. Bizarre, you wouldn't think so.
Right.
Same with vinegar. And so what it does, it's just a set for the day. First of all, we're slightly dehydrated because we've been sleeping. And then we kind of balance our bloodstream out, and we're kind of ready. We're just ready to hit the day. It's just a great way to start the morning. Again, ritualistic.
Awesome. That's so beautiful. Let's talk a little bit about other ways, like you talked to the soulful, the journaling, which I'm all for. Writing is such a magical tool. But what are some of the other soulful things that you recommend to your clients?
Absolutely. I love this part. One of my favorite things is obviously meditation. And I'll be the first to say, I really struggled with meditation. It was,
who doesn't? My goodness, it's a whole new universe.
Oh my gosh, it is. It's like, quiet the chatter. Oh wait, it's okay. She can be there. Okay, all of you are here. I have a really amazing app that I love that I suggest, and it's called Calm, CALM. What I love about it is that you can put in your own amount of time. So I tell everyone, start off small, 3 minutes. Just start there and allow all that stuff that's going to be floating around to float in and out. And then just kind of progress from there, and you can choose your own background music. And are you familiar with it?
No, I use Insight Timer, which is very similar. I presume. I mean, it's a meditation timer, and you can have your own. Choose your gongs or however you start at the beginning and end it, and
yes.
And you can actually. There's a whole bunch of meditations that are guided meditation, which I don't use the guided ones, but for people who don't want the total quiet, they can do those as well. So it's okay. So isn't it so cool how technology is assisting us in being more spiritual?
100%. I mean, and it's being called in right now for sure. But I love it because when people are doing this, and if they have children, they're modeling that. And so their kids who pick up their phones all the time are like, oh, what's this app? That's meditation. You should try. And they start playing with the sounds, and it's like, awesome. This is what we need. So meditation's a big deal. And training the mind for that. And really, again, the allowing piece of like being okay with, hey, it's not going to be perfect.
Right.
I finally realized that even these gurus I look up to for meditation, they still have the chatter. I'm like, okay, I'm not doing it wrong.
I don't think the chatter ever totally leaves. It's a matter of just like coexisting and letting it. My meditation teacher many years ago said it's like a river with pieces of wood and leaves in the river, and it's just a matter of letting them float by. Don't stop and stare at that one leaf or that one twig. That's not the point. Like, just let it all keep floating by.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's good. That's really good. And then I'm big on affirmations. When and if people feel comfortable looking in the mirror and speaking an affirmation to themselves, I think that's very powerful. I think, what we think has a huge effect on our DNA. And so the affirmation piece, even as silly as it might sound initially, we start believing it. We believe what we say, good and bad.
Absolutely.
So let's slant it towards the powerful and the good.
Absolutely.
And then staying away from social media. Going on a detox, like a detox your soul kind of thing, and letting go of any negativity and whatnot. I know that's easier said than done, but at the beginning of the year, I don't know about you, I kind of go through what I call like a reorg, right? Like I reset, I think about I reflect on friendships, I reflect on just any kind of partnerships I've had, and were we in the flow? Was it easy? Was it pretty low maintenance for where I am in my life? And if the checkbox gets checked off, then it's like, awesome. If there's been, a bit of a bump or whatnot, I need to really look at that for my soul journey, because I'm an empath. So I pick everything up and I kind of carry it along sometimes. And I really need to be okay with letting it go. And, I had an amazing mentor once that told me, hey, Trish, being an adult is like looking at a gift And we want it to be beautifully wrapped with a nice red bow. And he's like, adulting is kind of looking at a gift that is like torn open with tissue all over the floor and looking at it and saying, and walking away, being okay with walking away. And I was like, that image was good for me. I'm a visual person. So I was like, okay, it's sometimes we just need to, move on. And so taking a break and kind of looking at all that, I think social media pushes that a little bit. And so I think it's really positive. There's really good things about it, but sometimes we just need to take a break and detox from all that input, that stimulation. We're charging up our central nervous system. No wonder we can't calm down.
Absolutely. So, so true. Well, these are awesome, awesome tips. I really appreciate your coming here to share your soulful, I don't know, I can't get that word out, but soulful nutrition, just wisdom. It's just so beautiful. And so it's so basic, but we forget, and it's really, the things you've talked today about are just really gentle reminders to really, go within and really take responsibility for our health, and for really identifying what's not working. And I love you're talking about that with regard to relationships, because that's just as important as what's not working with what we're eating.
100%.
I mean, garbage in, garbage out, so it's, I'm not that our relationships are garbage, but there are some that can feel like it,
Yes.
So really taking that stock taking, really evaluating, what we're doing and what kind of, influences we have in our life in every way, mind, body, and spirit,
Totally.
that we have to do that stock taking so that we can be healthier and get on the right path. So thank you so much. Now you have a free gift that you're going to offer everybody listening here today.
I sure do. It is a 3-day juice cleanse. It will be in your notes, I believe. We were talking about that. And it also has a component to just not only kind of reboot your metabolism, but there is that soulful piece to it as well. Beautiful. So feel free to jump in.
I love that. And I have one question for you as I ask all my guests, Trish, and that is, what is your deepest hunger?
Gosh. Wow, that's a great question.
Not to put you on the spot, but you can take some time and take a couple seconds and think about it.
Yeah, know that every human walking the earth knows deep peace, because when we know deep peace, we can be love. We can recognize the love that resides in us, and our children's world will be just absolutely gorgeous.
That is beautiful. Oh, thank you so much. God bless you, and thank you for being here to share your soulful wisdom. Thank you, Trish.
Thanks so much.
Take care.
If you enjoyed this show and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.